Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gaelic Lives podcast. This is our Monday review show, and we're looking back at everything that happened at the weekend. There wasn't many National Football League games on, and there was only one concerning Ulster, and that was the Donegal and Kerry clash. So we've invited Ryan Ferry on from the Donegal News, and he was down in Kerry at this one. So I think it's the first Donegal win since 1988 in Kerry. Ryan, am I right in saying that?
Yeah, that's right, Sean. So it was a long time coming and a good result for Donegal on the day.
A big win, Ryan, given that now Donegal have beaten both Dublin and Kerry. I know they've the couple of Ulster teams to come up in the coming weeks, but a good start for Jim McGuinness and Donegal.
Yeah, definitely a good start, and maybe shows how maybe the focus has changed a bit. You know, like in recent years, maybe over the last decade, you're playing Kerry and Dublin, and you're hoping you're going to be good and competitive with them. Like whereas the last two weekends, like you went to the games thinking that they had a real good shot of winning it, particularly the Dublin game. I couldn't see any other outcome, with I suppose the Dublin departures than a Donegal victory. And even going down to Kerry, like we knew David Clifford wasn't going to be playing, and although Donegal are missing players as well, like you thought that Donegal would do it, and so it proved. And like obviously they were away in a training camp in Abu Dhabi in December, so Kerry are not going to have the same trials and tribulations in the provincial championships Donegal are having. So maybe Donegal are just a wee bit further on, and I think Jack O'Connor referenced that after the match. But no, I think it was a good performance, and the Donegal supporters that travelled down were certainly happy on Saturday afternoon. Then.
And the new rules, Ryan, everybody's been chatting about the new rules over the last weeks and months. But I suppose how have Donegal adapted the new rules? Is there anything new about their playing style, or obviously the two pointers is a good help?
Yeah, the 2 point Donegal have used the 2 pointers very well in both games so far, and I think Saturday's game was an interesting one because it was a lovely calm day in Fitzgerald Stadium, and we've probably possibly seen what we're maybe going to see in the summer, where teams are going to be able to score 2 pointers from both sides of the pitch. Whereas the first couple of weeks it's been such windy weather, the teams have only been able to score on one side of the pitch, their 2 pointers, and that means that they have to sit deep or whatever. Whereas, on Saturday, Donegal were able to get them on both sides of the pitch. And, that really is going to force defensive setups to come out because you don't want to concede those 2 pointers. Feels like a real blow in the ground if you concede that. So from that sense, 2 pointers are definitely going to suit Donegal because of a lot of good shooters from range. They're not scoring a lot of goals. We've seen that from the end of last year in the start of this championship already. Although they did have a couple of, or the start of this league, should I say, they did have a couple of goal chances at the weekend, didn't take them. So it's looking like they're going to have to hit 2 pointers, and that's going well. Look, I suppose we're not seeing much ball kicked in. Um, but I suppose Jim Gavin and the FRC committee, I think they were hoping that it would be, the ball would be kicked into the inside three line. Uh, it's not really happening with Donegal. I suppose if you think about it, Donegal had really done very well last year, breaking down 14-man defenses with their build up play. Now there's three players less, and from what we can see in opening two games, if Donegal take their time, there's a strong chance they're going to get their shot away. So now the other side of that is asking a lot of the players, and is it sustainable throughout the season if other teams are kicking the ball and their half backs and midfield are able to conserve their energy a wee bit more than maybe Donegal's are. But yeah, will that evolve over the year? It's hard to know. But at the minute, we're not seeing any huge change in approach from Donegal.
And just on the goals, Ryan, is that a concern, do you think? Because I think I've Donegal hit four, or what is it, 43 points maybe in two games there. So the raising the white flags and the orange flags isn't an issue. But the goals, is that a concern, do you think, at this stage?
Yeah, I would say it is a concern because even going back to last year, he didn't score a goal against like Galway. Maybe goals were harder to come by last year than they're going to be this year. Like Kieran Moore had a great chance on on Saturday and racing through the middle, and they hit it off the crossbar and over the bar. They did get over. I think they fisted maybe 3 fisted efforts over the bar, so they are getting in and around it. Maybe you just need to be a wee bit braver sometimes and go for the juggler. But I think as the season progresses, you know, we're all hoping that there's going to be more one-on-one battles, and that should lead to more goals. And if other teams are scoring goals, then Donegal are going to have to find a way of doing it as well.
And Rand, obviously this game wasn't shown anywhere, so it's hard to. I'd say the match reports. It's hard for anybody to get a real grip of how the game went. So I suppose give us a breakdown. How did this game all pan out? Donegal obviously winning in the end by 2 points, I think it was.
Yeah, well, I suppose one of the big matters that happened was very early on from a Donegal perspective. They lost Michael Langan to a hamstring injury after about 2 minutes, and that had a big say because Jason McGee hasn't been involved in the matchday squad yet so far, and without those two players, you really do struggle in the middle in the aerial exchanges, and there's a lot of balls are being boomed out to the middle, and Sean Patton his kicking in the last 20 minutes was pivotal to the success. Probably the reason they won it when the Kerry leg started to tire, he was able to pick out his men. But for that first 55 minutes, there was a lot of ball going out to the middle, and Jeremy O'Connor put in a masterclass once again. And Donegal struggled to get their hands on that primary possession, but they were still able, to force Kerry out at the back. With their zonal defence, Kerry now would probably look at it and think that they didn't make enough of the ball they had. And when Donegal got a run on some of the Kerry players, like Shane O'Donnell scored a point where he must have carried it about 80 or 90 yards and fisted it over. And, Conor O'Donnell had a bit of a quiet game against Dublin, but he was really sharp the last day. Darrell Boyle was very good against Dublin, didn't really get into it. Oisin Gallen was really good against Dublin, didn't get into it. But other players stepped up. Ryan McHugh was man of the match, was brilliant. And like it looks like it's going to suit Ryan McHugh this because, when you have those three less defenders, is it going to be possible for Oisin Connolly to man mark Ryan McHugh or Shawnee O'Donnell or anybody from Peter Mogan or, whether that's any player on any team, are you going to need those 11 players back in your defensive shape? Are you going to be able to afford to take somebody out of that and perhaps them drag you way back? And does that leave even more pockets of space, So, so from that perspective, Donegal got 11-7 up at half time. Kerry came back strongly. Then Donegal got 6 points ahead. Patrick McBurdy scored a lovely point off Tom O'Sullivan. And then, Kerry came back again. They got a goal. It was from Jeremy O'Connor with about 10 minutes to go. That left a point between it. And you were thinking Kerry had a lot of momentum. But Jamie Brennan came off the bench and had two very, very important scores for Donegal. And there was a super block in there from Finbar Rorty on Killian Spillane at a pivotal moment when he could have levelled the proceedings as well. So, Donegal just dug it out and, they were very happy with the result. And I do think they probably had a wee bit more in the legs in the last 10 minutes and that certainly helped them.
Rand, just before we let you go, I'm going to ask the question like everybody's asking, where's Michael Murphy? We've heard all the rumours and we know he's back, but no sign of him just yet.
No sign. And Donegal, I think, had the exact same match day squad for the 2 rounds. And so we're all waiting to see when he's going to come back. And I suppose you look at it like Michael Murphy's a big man. Michael Langan is a big man. He's picked up an injury now already. So you really have to be careful with Michael Murphy and when he's going to be fit. Is a feisty battle with Armagh the right day to bring him into it? I'm not so sure. Could we see him maybe held back for the Galway match? Maybe that's more a likely one, But I think Donegal now looking at it, they have got two results already. They've got 4 points on the board. They've got 5 more games. You'd imagine they're going to get their 6 points. Do they want to get to 10 or 12 points? I'm not so sure. I would say possibly 8 points is maybe the magic number where you're safe. but you don't get into the Division 1 final because Donegal are playing Derry on April the 6th, and league final is the week before it. And even if you went up and played a total second string team, you still have a trip to Dublin. Would you even want that? So, yeah, I think Donegal, I think Jim McGuinness will be happy to get his 2 points on the board, try and get that third one that makes you safe, and just manage the players then after that, make sure everybody's fit for that big game in McCool Park on April 6th.
Speaking for all Armagh fans, I think we'll be happy enough if Michael Murphy's held till the Galway game. That'll be music to the ears of Armagh fans. Ryan, brilliant to hear from you. Thanks very much for coming on and giving us a roundup of the Donegal and Kerry game.
Okay, man. Thank you.
So it's on to the college football then, and there was MacLarnon Cup and MacRory Cup action this week. Niall, we'll come to you at the MacLarnon Cup final. I know they're going to have to do it all again. I think it's Tuesday night, but give us a roundup of how this game went.
Yeah, cracking game of football, and I suppose as you alluded to, in the end up the teams couldn't be separated, and they only have since throw-in yesterday, they have just over 48 hours to prepare for a replay, which is a wee bit hard to get my head around, to be honest, but it emerged shortly after the game that the replay was going to be on a Tuesday night. Not much of a turnaround for either team involved, but anyway, that's just as an aside. In terms of how the game went, the Dean were the better team in the first half, even though they were playing into a fairly strong breeze, and they led by 2 points, and it could have been quite a bit more. Shane Monroe scored. He's a great dual player. He's a real talent. He scored an early goal, and he could have two more goals, really. He just didn't find one of the shots was saved. The other one was blasted over the bar. So the Dean could easily have had 3 goals in the first half. Patrician changed their approach in the second half. They ran the ball a lot more and were a lot more dangerous and threatening than they had been. All the same, they're quite reliant on scores from Peter Connolly. He kicked a lot of frees, and they nudged into the lead for the first time, about 15 minutes remaining. It kind of ebbed and flowed for the final 15 minutes. Then injury time, it looked like Patrician were going to win it. They got a free from about 30 yards out, and you'd have fancied the aforementioned Peter Connolly to nail it any day of the week. I suppose maybe he's a wee bit tired at that stage. Maybe Nair's got him a bit, but dropped short. And then the Dean had a couple of chances to win it. The referee, 3 minutes injury time were announced. They ended up playing 5 minutes, and the Dean had possession for most of those 5 minutes, but they just couldn't. They couldn't get a shot off. They did have a free near the end, but it was it was good 40 metres out and way out in the flank, so it was a bit of a shot and often, really. I think both sides will be happy enough just to get second bite of the cherry, given both teams did have a shot to win it, and I suppose it'll might come down to who deals with a short turnaround best to see who takes it at the end of the day.
It's an unfair question, Nell, but if you had to call it, is it a tough one to call, or who do you see coming out on top?
You can make arguments for both teams very easily. You could probably look at yesterday's game and think, well, Patrician must have underperformed in the first half, and maybe the second half was their truer sales. But then on the other hand, they were quite reliant on Peter Connolly to keep on kicking the ball over the bar from frees. So if the Dean don't cough up as many frees tomorrow night, that could be half the battle, really. But the thing with replays is they rarely follow the same sort of narrative as the drawn encounter. So it's hard to pick a winner. I suppose if I had I'm not a betting man, but maybe I go for the Dean. But I'm probably inherently biased as I'm a throwing fella. So maybe that's more of a case that I want them to win than anything else. But it should be another good game. I can't see it being anything other than close anyway.
It's impossible to call nearly games like that, as you say. Now replays usually take on a life of their own. But Mal, you were there yesterday too, and you spoke to Dylan McInerney and Gavin McElroy after the game. So we're going to hear those interviews now, and then we'll talk about the MacRory Cup.
Carrick Cross manager Dylan McInerney, you've had a wee bit of chance to digest it. As a neutral, it was class. But how do you sum it up?
Yeah, you could have went either way. At the end, we had a free that could have went over, and then they had a shot, and we defended with our lives. 15 behind the ball, got a block in, and we just got across the line in a draw where we maybe thought we might have produced our best performance. But hey, all positivity. You have another day at an Ulster final. There's nothing else you want.
In terms of the game, the Dean had a chance to work a goal here before half time. A point would have put them 5 up. they didn't get either. You went up and got 2 scores before half time. How valuable was that in the big picture?
We came in and we were lucky to be only 2 down. The team could have been more ahead, and we were happy when we were only down 2 points. Then we dug it. We just said, we just keep going. We're talking about this the whole time. Just get to 60 minutes and see where we are. Dog it out. Our fitness will show. And we were lucky we're even on the day.
And along the line, I watched your body language. You were kicking every ball, but you just have to trust the lads. They're going to do the job, I suppose.
Yeah, you're more nervous along the line than you are when you're playing. Look, you just have to. We put a lot of work in. At the end of the day, it's 15 v15. You have your 5 subs that come in, but yeah, you just have to leave them at it and let them battle away.
And finally, a final, there's usually joy, there's usually sadness, but this is a different emotion. What do you feel like with it being a draw?
No, I parked the game completely straight away after the result. I'm all about positivity. We have another day in an Ulster final. Your club, your county, you might only get 1 day at it, but now we get 2 days at it. Same preparations, go again.
I'm joined here by Gavin McElroy. After, as a neutral, it looked a really, really exciting game. You've had time to think about where it could have went, but you have another day, I suppose.
We opted to play again the Breeze in the first half. We're up 2 points at half time, but I suppose maybe we fell into the trap of thinking the wind was going to assist it more than it did. Attrition played better with the wind, against the wind than they did with it. Some of their better players came onto the ball and came at us. With time up there, they had a close and free to win it, and they dropped it into the goalie's hands. So we were settled for a draw at that stage. We ended up the field and we just couldn't get a shot away. They were back in numbers, but listen, I think it was hard being on the line there as manager. It's a roller coaster. You're up and down, you're in, you're out. Sometimes you think you've won it, sometimes you think you've lost it, but we'll be happy to know a day out, to be honest.
Big occasion for the lads to be experiencing.
Big occasion. A lot of new things for them to take in there, but listen, we couldn't fault the performance. They give it everything, just couldn't get across the line this time, and glad to have another day of it.
And I'm guessing we don't know when it's on yet, but preparation for replay are a wee bit different.
Discussions going on in the background here about when it can be played. I think Kerry Cross made a school trip plan in the middle of which is running it, so kind of out of our hands. We're ready to play it as soon as we get the opportunity.
An exciting campaign so far.
It's been very exciting. Listen, it's our second year in the MacLarnon Cup. This year has been a great journey for the lads, but there's only one way to finish it off, and that's to win it. We're still not there yet, but we'll be here fighting for it the next day again.
Amal, you were at the MacRory Cup final, so there's another MacRory Cup title going to Maghera. This one obviously wasn't a draw like the MacLarnon Cup game, but it was very tight.
Yeah, and funny, the MacLarnon final was absolutely brilliant to watch. Neutral person there, top drawer, and the MacRory game was every bit the same, to be honest. And I felt Abbey were marginal favourites going into it. I think it was probably from watching Four Masters so much and the fact they were playing, as a team. But I think Maghera's overall team performance was right out of the top drawer, and the start they got off to was absolutely horrendous. Like, Abbey just broke up for 2 goals, brilliantly created by Kevin Muldoon, finished the net from Conor McCall. Like, it was the best start that they could have expected, like an Ulster final. There hadn't been a Donegal team there since 1961, and the school's first final and the progress they've made, and like they were punishing mistakes. Like Kevin Muldoon made a run for the second goal, and he was running towards the Brandywell end, and all I could think about was, he's been on Derry City's books, and he was way flying up the pitch, and McCall to the back of the net, and like for St. Pat's to come back from that was immense, because they haven't been a very high scoring team. They've been sort of cutting teams by going on the break, which they're absolutely brilliant at, and that's what their comeback was based on. But looking at the scoreboard, 2-1 to 1, and you're thinking, this is a long way back. For 2 reasons for me, was that at half time, Sean, it was 2-2 to 4 points. And as much as Maghera had the breeze, 4 points was a lot to peg back. But then could they find the balance of keeping Muldoon and McCall and the Cars quiet? But they did. And to be fair to Pádraig O'Keefe, who was on Conor McCall, and Finbar McShane, he's a speed merchant himself, he tracked Kevin Muldoon. Like, they were brilliant in that second half. And there was one passage of play, I can't remember what the score was, but O'Kane stopped McCall, and then McShane came in and was able to turn over Muldoon within about 20 seconds. And it was the two key men turned over, and even the sense of energy Maghera got from that. The other factor was Padraig Harn. I thought he was immense. Now, if he had his shooting boots with him or a wee bit of composure, he would have put in a performance we would have been absolutely raving about forever. But his attack play, like he was on Turlough McHugh, their captain, and the fact that Padraig Harn was going forward all the time, it took away sort of Four Masters' key man and the Abbey's key man in that link channel. So that was another big factor as well in the game. And also, like goalkeeper Jack McCloy, like the first shot that the first goal McCall hit was like an absolute rocket, and it seemed to hit Jack on the hand, and like he had we thought, is he going to have to go off? He looked like a hand injury, but he's a cool customer. Like the night before the match, he's a barber by trade, and the St. Patrick that you might have saw on the hill dressed up, like Jack had actually, he had met him to etch the SPC logo into the back of his hair and shaved. You know, it just shows you the mindset of those lads. And I remember before the All-Ireland Minor final, being in the barbers in Maghera, and Jack was cutting like Padraig Harn's hair and boys like the day before the game. So young fellas now don't have any nerves. So when you see what Maghera came back from, and like Carrick McCross and the Dean as well, it's sometimes refreshing to see young boys just playing. But like Jack McCloy's handling was another factor. And then also Cormac McCluskey hit 4 points, like from Drum. It's a club that it's there hasn't been that many county players coming from Drum. Like there was 2 Drum players on the one on Maghera team 30 years ago whenever Sean Murray was the captain. So there was so many pluses in the Maghera performance. And the fact that you could start talking about 2, 3, 4 different man of the match contenders probably says a lot for me about the performance. But to come, as I say, to come from 2 goals down against a really, really dangerous team, and to come back and win it, and to thoroughly deserve to win it, I think says an awful lot about their whole performance. And you know, the coaching team and the lads themselves deserve a lot of credit because of the fact of winning it, and also beating a quality team to actually win it.
And just like the MacLarnon Cup, I know you got MacRory Cup interviews. You spoke to Sean Marty Lockhart and Cathal McCaig after the game. So we'll hear from those, the manager and winning captain now, and then we'll head into the hurling and ladies results.
Sean Marty Lockhart, 30 years ago you were lifting the MacRory Cup. Today you're involved with the Maghera team that are champions again. What does that feel like?
Well, you can't describe it. Like we talked to our boys during the week, you know, the feeling you have at the final whistle, like it's unreal. Like 30 years ago seems like yesterday, but I mean today's game was just like Maghera just love doing entertainment. They make life hard for themselves, but hey, we came through in the end.
We spoke before we started recording here. The 2 goals was far from an ideal start, but for the rest of that half you had loads of possession.
Yeah.
But not enough to show for it.
But just goes to show you, Mal, like our team this year was built with strong defence, and we didn't anticipate that we were going to concede 2-1 in the first 5 minutes against here. But here, listen, it happened. It was a good time to happen, but we still knew we had the footballers to come back in the game, and we pegged it back to 4 points half time. It wasn't bad. We'd missed a pile of chances first half. I think we missed maybe 2 or 3 goals first half and maybe 4 or 5 points. But the second half, I think the first 10 minutes second half was phenomenal. We brought the game back to me. 2 points, 1 point in a draw, and then listen, we pushed on from there and we went 3 up against here. We still missed chances, and then they come down the field. We got a black card. The last 10 minutes, lost Padraig Harn, was a massive loss.
And that was the big match-up that you needed.
Oh, he was marking your boy McCahill at that stage. But I mean, Mal, listen, true Maghera spirit, true Maghera grit, you know, and they pulled through in the end.
The half-time chat, Sean Marty, you're 4 down. You have to reel that back in. How do you balance that with trying to keep an eye on their goal threat? Because you needed to do both in that second half.
Well, Mal, see, in fairness, I can't repeat what was said at half time, but it was a few strong words were said to the boys at half time. But like, we didn't doubt ourselves. Like, and I mean, the second half we had to go for 2, you know, but we did. We pressed up and kicked, which we didn't do the first half, and then we got the ball second half, and then we're taking a risk too because we left their key man up front 1-on-1. But hey, Mal, listen, you have to take a risk sometimes.
Padraig delivered. Like he turned over McHale, and I think Finney turned over Muldoon within seconds at a stage whenever you were starting to turn the game, so the moments were starting to go for you at that point.
But Mal, full credit to Funbar and Podrick and all our defence. Them boys sat down Friday morning there and they went through each one of their players, their side steps, their runs, their tip dummies, I guess here. And granted, they would have scored 2-5 today, I guess here, but I thought our defence was phenomenal today, collectively phenomenal.
The second half, was there a moment in particular you felt it was changing for you?
Of course.
45 minutes was the first time you led.
Yeah, but the game ebbs and flows, and I knew that it was going to change the game because we were completely dominating, but we were still only 2 or 3 ahead, and they were going to come back at us, and they did come back. It's fair play to them, and all credit to Abbey because they did come back. But our lads, I felt they stood up, they showed good leadership, I guess here, and they finished the game strong.
What does this do for your group of players? What does this do for the school? Because there's so much colour there today. Massive occasion.
Okay, and there's so many people I think, our backroom team, you have to acknowledge Wally McAteer, and Chrissy McKaig and all the common strength and conditioning coach and Tiernan McHugh. And you also have to acknowledge Martin McConnell behind the scenes doing a lot of organising and PO work. And then you also have to thank Mrs. Crilley, because Mrs. Crilley's come through a tough time the last couple of weeks there. And today was just a blessing for Mrs. Crilley. And she's invested the time, she's invested the money in the school, and she's seeing the rewards now.
Can you compare one of it as a captain and one of it as somebody along the line? Or are they completely different?
Oh, listen, nothing beats playing. So,
Maghera captain Cathal McCaig, what was said in that dressing room is the magic question.
That's all was said. It's just all the boys, we know each other that well. We have that sort of trust in each other. We knew when we went out in that second half we were going to come out with 1.
That second half was immense in every way. What moment did you feel it turned?
As soon as we came out, after that their first score, just kept piling on the scores. We knew we were on top of them, they couldn't keep up with us.
For such a young team to recover from conceding 2 goals early on, what does that say? Because it was a tough position to be in at that point.
Very, very mature boys. We knew not how much too big for us. We just went out and just did what we knew and came out with 1.
The occasion, how much of an advantage was it having so many people played Derry Minor games, Ulster Minor games? That level of experience within the group, I suppose, was a biggie.
Experience is massive. And it showed today the experience we have on our team. And it's dead.
On the game itself, Nickel won 2 kickouts in the middle of the second half. There's a turnover. You had won 1 after that yourself. So it was just a collective level of effort in that second half.
Boys over the field, every single man in our team's a leader. Every single man. People coming off the bench. Kevin Boy came off the bench. We had a massive push in the game. Won crucial balls, and everyone trusts everyone in our team.
4 points down at half time. You think you'll peg it back, but can you stop Abbey scoring? Your defence in that second half was as big again to stop their threat.
Credit to Abbey, their forward lines, and some very, very dangerous players. McCahill, they're just very, very good players going forward. Carr, and we knew that we had to dig in deep, go to places we knew we had to go to, and just did the job.
Finally, Cathal, where does the spirit come from? Is that just the togetherness of a school, friendships, tough training? What is it?
A bit of everything. Over 100 sessions we did this year. The work was done. That was the support. The managers put great belief in us from the start of the year. They said you deserve nothing, but you deserve a chance, and we took a chance today.
I forgot to mention it. You actually then had to play 10 minutes with 14 men, and Podrick was keeping McCall under wraps. So an unbelievable level of concentration. I think Darrell Neal made one back on him at a stage. So a lot of work to do in there.
Just had to dig in and get to the end.
And first time the Cup has been in school since 2016. What does that mean?
The buzz will be massive, so can't wait to go and celebrate.
So on to the rest of the action from the weekend. The hurling results then. Antrim picked up a second defeat in Division 1. They lost to Offaly at the weekend. In Division 2, Derry and Tyrone were both on on the wrong end of results. Kerry beat Derry, while Meath beat Tyrone. Down our top of Division 2, they picked up a 3rd straight win, and they had Ronan Beattie and Chris Egan to thank. They got the goals. Ronan Beattie finishing with 2-2, while Chris Egan got 1-2. All those goals coming inside the first half. In Division 3 then, Cavan and Armagh both lost out London beat Cavan. London are top of the table in Division 3, while Wicklow mounted a second half comeback to beat Armagh by 9 points. And in Division 4, goals from Tom Keenan and Jimmy Tormey were the difference for Fermanagh. They beat Monaghan in Division 4 by 5 points. The ladies' action then, Armagh held on to beat Dublin by 1 point, and they retained their spot at the top of the Division 1 table. Tyrone made a brilliant comeback to beat Mayo. They were 7 down at one stage, but a Saoirse Gormley goal helped them come back to pick up their first win of the campaign. And in Division 2, it was a late goal from Roisin Rogers that helped Donegal see off Monaghan by just 2 points, 1-7 to 0-8. In Division 3, Cavan hammered Carlow 6-17 to 1-4, while Down suffered a defeat to Laois that was 2-11 to 4-3. And in Division 4, Fermanagh got back to winning ways. They beat Longford 4-14 to 4-8, with Emer Smith hitting 2-2 for Fermanagh and Blahin Bogue hit 2-1. They were the 2 goal scorers for Fermanagh. In our highlights of the week then, men, and we have player of the week. We've went with 3 different players. Mal, you've picked Sean Patton from Donegal.
Yeah, I heard somebody talking over the weekend about his performance, and I suppose in an era whenever kickouts are so important, and when you see how difficult Derry found it against Kerry last week, his kickouts over the top were amazing. Micheál Kirk, he had a few snippets up on Twitter. It's well worth a look. And when you think about how a team might see out a game when they're under pressure, it just shows you that it pays to coach a youngster to kick like Sean Patton with that ping. So a massive performance from Sean.
And Nell, you've went with Ryan McHugh. I know Ryan Ferry had mentioned about McHugh's impact, so he was your player of the week.
Yeah, he had an excellent game. I was reading the report there in Irish Shoes, and apparently he's the first player to score 2-pointer in the county of Kerry. So he has that one, as well as a bag full of Ulster medals and all the rest of it, Sean.
Yeah, fair play to him. He keeps breaking records, I suppose. And I've went with Emer Smith from Fermanagh, as I mentioned. She hit 2-2 at the weekend, and she's just been an incredible scorer for Fermanagh over the last few years. So she's my player of the week. My result of the week was Tyrone ladies beating Mayo. As I mentioned, they were 7 down. To come back and win that game was huge for them. And the result of the week for Nell and Mal, you both went with the MacRory Cup final. So Nell, I suppose we've covered it in depth there, but Mal highlighted, I suppose, the mountain Maghera had to climb, and they did so to get their hands on the cup.
Yeah, I think whoever wins the MacRory Cup in any given year can reflect with a lot of pride in their accomplishments, because at the end of the day, it means you're the best football in school in Ulster in that given year. So fair play to Maghera.
And Mal and Nell, you went for the same game for the shock of the week. It was Antrim losing to Offaly in the hurling. Mal, I suppose this was a disappointing one for Davy Fitzgerald and for Antrim.
To be honest, I only saw the result late on because we were at the MacRory and I couldn't believe the margin. I sort of expected Antrim to win it from the point of view, Sean, that against Dublin, they would have been maybe underdogs and would have been expecting a better show, and probably the Westmeath game they would have been expected to win. So on their travels, I thought this is a big test for Davy Fitz and for the Antrim group, and it's a disappointing one, and it probably just shows you the importance of maybe Michael McShane coming in as under-20 boss, because they're going to need that middle territory to be churning out players. So a difficult one for Antrim there, to be honest, and it'll be a difficult one to bounce back from, because I think they probably would have eyed that game as a big test.
And I picked the Donegal win over Kerry as the shock, Luke. I'm not sure it's really a shock, but just the fact that Donegal haven't beaten Kerry in Kerry since 1988, I think that's why I picked that one. Also went for a Donegal player from a score of the week, and that was Roisin Rogers, as I mentioned. Her goal helped defeat Monaghan in the ladies' game. It was the last score of the game, on the one by 2 points, so that was a big score. You went to a Tipperary score, Nell, Shawnee Kennelly.
Yeah, brilliant goal. I saw it floating around social media at the weekend. I saw someone describe it as a baseball style goal, where he just volleyed it into the top hand corner of the net. Like, it was brilliant, and it'll be one of those goals I think they'll be showing for quite a number of years to come, because it was so distinctive.
Amal, you went for Conor McCahill for Abbey.
Yeah, a brilliant goal, a brilliant player, and well made by Kevin Muldoon. he just sucked the Maghera defenders towards him, and McCall's finish was top drawer. And just before we move away, I just want to touch on the Camogie results. I forgot to mention them when I was doing the school roundup, because St. Pat's Maghera as juniors, they're into the All-Ireland final. They beat Presentation of Athenry, and that's the senior and junior finalists. So they come up against Kilkenny, their old sort of nemesis. And St. Pius's are into the All-Ireland final, the junior C level. Shout out to my nephew Owen Kennedy, he's involved with that team. So they're in the final. And then junior D level, St. Dominic's, they were 2-5-2 goal winners over Tuam. So a big weekend on the schools front, and a wee bit like last year. It's good to see the Ulster teams, doing the business whenever they get into the All-Ireland series. So long may it continue.
And we'll stay with you, Mal, for your own son here. We'll stay with St. Pat's Maghera as well as Padraig O'Keefe. Yeah,
Padraig O'Keefe, a very emotional day for Padraig. Like his younger brother Sean came on later on in the game as well, and his late father James would have been a massive character around the school, managed Maghera Cup winning teams, and probably one of the most popular people to ever have taken teams around the school and highly respected. But Padraig's performance would have done his father an immense level of pride yesterday. He did pick up a black card later on, but he picked up Conor McCall for most of the game. But that 20 minutes after half-time, it was probably a wee bit like what Glen and St. Bridget's did last year, because whenever Glen were chasing the game, Ryan Dugan had to go one-on-one on Ben O'Carroll with no stabilisers while they chased the game. And yesterday was the same. Padraig O'Keefe, and in an era whenever it's one-on-one defending we're looking for, he's the sort of player, I was chatting to somebody last night, he's the sort of player that Derry are crying out for now. It's just a pity he wasn't about 5 years older, because a good old-fashioned man marker just in the mould of Chrissy McCaig and Sean Marley, who would have been coaching him. So we'll look forward to seeing him breaking into the senior ranks in a few years' time. And
your unsung hero was Ryan McCallum.
Yeah, simply because he popped up with 2 cracking scores in the second half yesterday, at a time where the game was obviously very much nip and tuck. Only for those 2 points, the Dean would probably be waking up this morning having lost yesterday's MacLarnon Cup final. So it was two crucial plays from Ryan.
And I went with John Duffy for Monaghan Hurlers. He had 10 points at the weekend, and maybe a bit like Emer Smith, he's not necessarily an unsung hero, but maybe just the hurling scene in Ulster doesn't get enough promotion. So John Duffy usually puts up big scores, so I picked him for my unsung hero. So that's all for our review show. We'll be back on Thursday. We're looking ahead to the National Football League coming back, the big one, as Ryan touched on earlier on. It's Armagh and Donegal and Ballybuffet on Sunday, but we'll be back on Thursday. We'll be previewing that game and all the other National League games coming up this week. Mal has a special show coming up on Thursday, but we'll not build it up too much, Mal, because it hasn't happened yet. So we'll see what comes Thursday. We'll be back also on Monday, of course, with our roundup show, and we'll be looking back at everything that happens over the weekend. So thanks to everybody for tuning in, and make sure to tune in to our preview show on Thursday as well.